Well, thank you for joining us. This is the news on NTA International. I am Charles Alpha. First, a quick look at some of our top stories. A June 12th annulment. Former Nigerian military leader IBB issues apology while unveiling his autobiography in Abuja. South Africa hosts G20 foreign ministers meeting, and President Ramaphosa emphasizes importance of multilateralism. And Nigeria seeks partnership with China to support its economic growth strategies. Former African leaders and President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria gathered to celebrate former President Ibrahim Babangida as he presented his autobiography to the public. In attendance were former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Goodluck Jonathan, former head of state Yakubu Gowon, along with the immediate past President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. They spoke about Ibrahim Babangida's contribution to the social and economic development of Nigeria and Africa.
These are General Babangida's words in the concluding page of his autobiography, and I quote, "The June 12th saga remains the most challenging moments of my life. If I have to do it again, I will do it differently." End of quote. He also admitted that late MK Abiola won the 1993 election and expressed delight that former President Muhammadu Buhari honored him with full privileges of a former president. Apart from the June 12 controversy, the 420-page book also chronicled General Babangida's early life in Minna, his interest in the military, those who shaped his career and rise to power. A remarkable point in the book, reviewed by former Vice President Professor Yemi Osibanjo, is dedication of a whole chapter to his late wife, Miriam Babangida, their journey of love, devotion and service to Nigeria.
Babangida himself described these events, and I quote, "the events that shook the administration to its foundations under our watch," end of quote. These include the death of Dele Giwa, the killing by a letter bomb of the charismatic journalist and publisher of Newswatch, a weekly political news magazine, in his home on October the 19th, 1986.
This book, and keeping his ideas for posterity, is one of the reasons for the proposed IBB Presidential Library to be established in Minna, Niger State. The fundraising, which was part of the book launch event, was the first step to realizing that vision.
The greatest asset that Nigeria has is our ability to come together, to reason together when it mattered most. And this day is a reflection of that. The symbolism that the presentation of this book represents goes a long way in unifying this country, making us look like one country with one purpose in nation building.
I'm looking forward to reading it comprehensively and also to note some of the things which have been denied history.
It's touched our lives in Niger Delta. The creation of Delta State came from him.
The array of Nigeria's leaders, including President Bola Tinubu, former President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, former President of Sierra Leone, Ernest Bai Koroma, traditional rulers and captains of industry, is a testament of how highly General Babangida is held in society. In Abuja, Kelvin Arunwaye, NTA News.
Right, foreign ministers from the G20 top economies met in South Africa amid tensions between members of the Ukraine war, trade disputes, and with the top US diplomat staying away owing to a feud with the host. Justin Bermuni reports.
It is critical that the principles of the UN Charter, multilateralism and international law should remain at the center of all our endeavors. It should be the glue that keeps us together.
The G20 countries, which represent some 85% of global GDP and 3/4 of trade, often struggle to see eye to eye. But geopolitical rifts since Russia's 2022 Ukraine invasion have rendered it more fractious than ever. The discord has increased since President Donald Trump took office a month ago and implemented rapid changes in Washington's trade and foreign policies. Geopolitical tensions and rising intolerance, conflict and war threaten an already fragile global coexistence. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who holds the rotating presidency of the group, said in an opening speech.
As we strive towards a common purpose, I think it is important that we should remember that cooperation is our greatest strength. Let us seek to find common ground through constructive engagement. Through the G20, we should be able to set the coordinates of a new course for human progress, one that is founded on solidarity, equality, as well as sustainability.
South Africa sees the first G20 meeting on the continent as an opportunity to get rich nations to heed poorer countries' concerns, worsening inequality, inadequate action by wealthy countries on climate change, and a financial system that favors investment banks over poor sovereign debtors. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Elsewhere, France on Thursday returned its sole military base in Côte d'Ivoire to the West African nation's authorities, bringing an end to decades of French presence at the site. The French and Ivorian defense minister signed a document to confirm the return shortly after the Ivorian flag was raised in the base's parade ground. Although the handover comes as France's former colonies in West Africa weakened ties with their former imperial ruler, both sides stressed that relations remained warm. Ivorian Defense Minister Tene Ibrahima Altara said this act marks a new era in the friendship and strategic collaboration between the two countries. His French counterpart, Sébastien Lecornu, said the world is changing and it's obvious that the military relations should change. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez have reiterated their government's rejection of U.S. President Trump's proposal calling for depopulating the Gaza Strip. It is now with Justin Bemunyi.
Speaking at a joint news conference in Madrid, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi called for support from the international community for a reconstruction plan for Gaza without the transfer of the Palestinian people. Spanish Prime Minister Sanchez pointed out that their removal from the Strip would be immoral and contrary to the international law and United Nations resolutions and would have a destabilizing effect at a regional and global level. El-Sisi stressed that the reconstruction of Gaza must be implemented without the transfer of the Palestinian people from their land to which they cling and their homeland which they will not accept relinquishing. Gaza belongs to the Palestinians and is part of the future Palestinian state, said Sanchez, who reiterated his support for the two-state solution and for approval of the reconstruction of the enclave at the Arab League summit scheduled for 4th March in Cairo. The Egyptian president also urged the international community to help revive the stalled peace process between Palestinians and Israel with the aim of establishing an independent Palestinian state in accordance with international law. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
And back in Nigeria, the federal government of Nigeria is seeking the assistance of the People's Republic of China in the diversification of its economy, especially relating to industrialization. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu, solicited this when the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Yoon Dun-hai, paid her a courtesy visit in her office at the ministry. She stated that Nigeria has had a robust relationship with China spanning over 5 decades and noted that the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu prioritizes the diversification and strengthening of the nation's economy. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs indicates Nigeria's resolve in improving its power sector and also modernize ports, emphasizing that all this will enable investment. But countries are sure to continue to relate not just bilaterally but multilaterally. The Nigerian Governors Forum has engaged the United States Ambassador to Nigeria, Richard Mills, over the allegation suggesting that the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, is providing funding to Boko Haram terrorist organization in the country. He says this immediately after a closed-door session with members of the Nigerian Governors Forum Wednesday night in Abuja. And our political correspondent Abubakar Akwanga reports.
It was the first physical meeting of the Nigerian Governors Forum in the year 2025, and the need to interact with the U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria on burning issues of international concern dominated discussions during a closed-door session at the NGF Secretariat, and it is time to brief the media on the outcome of the deliberations that lasted several hours, and Nigeria-U.S. relationship and the early allegations against U.S. intervention body, United States Agency for International Development, USAID, on Boko Haram sponsorship was brought to the front burner.
Or have policies and procedures in place to ensure that USAID funding, any of our assistance funding, whether it comes from USAID, the Department of Defense, the State Department, is not diverted to a terrorist group like Boko Haram. There is absolutely no evidence that I have seen that has occurred. And certainly if we ever had evidence presented to us that a program funding was being diverted to Boko Haram, we would immediately investigate, along with our Nigerian partners.
U.S. government pledged to assist Nigeria in improving economy, health, education, social well-being, as well as fighting corruption to a standstill.
The new administration has put in a 90-day pause on our assistance. No assistance has been cut yet. No decisions have been made about the future of our assistance. In fact, Secretary Rubio has said, this is not about ending foreign assistance to our partners and friends like Nigeria. It's about how to make the assistance more effective and how to make sure that it aligns with U.S. government policies and interests.
The Nigerian Governors Forum, however, did not speak to journalists after the meeting, but there are strong indications that the outcome of the deliberations will be made known during the Council of State meeting scheduled for Thursday this week at the State House. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the appointment of Dr. Xavier Enyikere as a chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission for a 5-year renewable term. Until his appointment, Enyikere, an environmental specialist, was the Deputy Chief of Staff to the Senate President. The President also approved the appointment of 2 commission members, each for 6 geopolitical zones. Now, the Nigerian First Lady Oluremi Tinubu said more than ever before, it is time to pull down barriers and create space for inclusion where no one else is left behind. The First Lady was speaking as the world marks the 2025 International Day of Social Justice. She calls on Nigerians to work together to bridge gaps and ensure that every citizen, especially those from marginalized communities, is empowered to succeed in life. Reflecting on the theme, Empowering Inclusion, Bridging Gaps for Social Justice, the First Lady affirms her commitment to a Nigeria where every citizen, regardless of gender, ethnicity, or socio-economic background, has an equal opportunity to thrive. You're still watching the news on NTA International. We will take a quick break now. More reports ahead. Stay with us.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their socio-economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, one person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, one person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary healthcare center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
Thank you for staying with us. We acknowledge and sincerely value your significant contribution to the development of our nation. Your experience, expertise, and commitments have been instrumental in fostering the growth and progress of our country. Now, these remarks were made by DDS Wilson Jack, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, during the second executive prospective retirees conference, which gathered over 800 civil servants from various ministries, departments, and agencies. Haman Jabani reports.
Many civil servants face significant challenges when transitioning into retirement, often due to insufficient preparation. The sudden loss of income, social status, and sense of purpose can lead to anxiety, depression, and even financial hardship. This underscores the importance of this retirement training, which will equip civil servants with necessary skills, knowledge, and mindset to navigate this critical phase of life. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, DDS Wilson Jack, emphasized the significance of the initiative, stating that it reflects the federal government commitment to the welfare of civil servants. She highlighted that the government is dedicated not only to supporting civil servants during their active service, but also to ensure they are well prepared for a seamless transition to retirement. This conference stands as a testament to that commitment.
To sensitize them, begin to prepare them, to determine what is that thing they would like to do when they actually retire, so that they can begin to go for training on that particular area they would like to specialize in. So I think the conference is so wonderful, it's awesome, and I'm happy at the very great attendance.
Resource persons express confidence that the training will empower civil servants with necessary skills, knowledge, and mindset to navigate retirement with confidence and fulfillment.
There's a big difference between when you are in service and when you are out of service. Don't get carried away with all the paparazzi as a level 17 officer. The marketplace have no regard for your being a 5-star general, being a permanent secretary, being a director. The marketplace have no regard for your titles. What you don't know hurts you. So we just try to damage their ignorance beyond repairs so they can actually retire well and retire strong.
The conference will address critical topics such as agripreneurship program, business startup, and financial management. Participants were urged to prioritize retirement training as a crucial step towards achieving happy, healthy, and fulfilled retirement. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
And talking business, the Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy Committee has maintained interest rates unchanged at 27.50% to rein in inflation. The committee also hold cash reserves ratio and other parameters unchanged. Musa Abubakar reports that the committee also hold cash reserve ratio and other parameters unchanged.
The 299th Monetary Policy Committee meeting wasn't just another gathering. Originally set for February 17 to 18, it was postponed to accommodate new inflation data, and when the numbers came in, big surprises awaited. January rebase inflation rate stands at 24.48%, a contrast from the 34.80% in December 2024. But despite the drop, the battle against inflation is far from over. The CBN chose to hold the monetary policy rate steady, reaffirming its stance in the fight against inflation.
That inflation is trending down and is looking positive. All the indices are looking positive. Foreign exchange rate, we all know, has started to trend down and is more or less achieved stability. It's been stable, and we're speaking about the differential in the rates down to less than 1%.
The decision, a firm hold on the key interest rate, a signal that the CBN is staying the course in its battle to keep inflation in check. The bank believes that maintaining the current monetary stance will help consolidate gains while avoiding unnecessary shocks to the economy. Meanwhile, the Naira's recent stability in the foreign exchange market suggests that the policy stance may be yielding some positive effects.
So our objectives have been and will continue to be to achieve stability in the foreign exchange markets and in the financial markets. There are more investments coming in which should spur the badly needed growth.
So what does this mean for the average Nigerian? Borrowing rates remain unchanged, inflation control remains a priority, and businesses will be watching closely to see if this decision brings the economic relief they need. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
And still on price stability, the federal government has called on food vendors and retailers to adjust their prices downward and refrain from exploiting customers. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, criticized retailers for their indifference in maintaining high prices despite the disease decrease in both processed and unprocessed food items. He noted that the federal government is aware of the significant decline in food prices across major markets, especially for essential commodities such as flour, sugar, rice, and pasta. However, he expressed concern that many retailers, bakers, and shop owners continue to sell their products at inflated prices, thereby denying Nigerians the relief they deserve.
Markets, particularly for essential commodities such as flour, sugar, rice, and spaghetti. However, it is deeply concerned that many retailers, bakers, shop owners have refused to reflect this reduction in their selling prices, thereby denying Nigerians the relief they deserve. In previous months, stakeholders in the food supply chain raised concern over rising cost of food items. Now that the prices have dropped, flour, for instance, has fallen from 81,000 per bag to below 60,000 naira per bag, and spaghetti from 20,000 to 15,000. It is only fair and just that consumers benefit from these reductions.
And the federal government is set to breathe life to the more than 700 industries across Nigeria's industrial sector that are out of business. This is as the Minister of Industry Sector, Senator John Eno, promises more funding, better regulatory frameworks and improved infrastructure. To this end, the Industrial Revolution Work Group has been inaugurated in Abuja, and Benny Adams reports.
This is the surest way for Nigeria to become self-sufficient and an exporter nation. The Naira will be strengthened, and with it, our purchasing power. This is doable, and yes, we can. The work begins here and now.
Amid this quiet lies a spark of hope being ignited. The federal government has just set the stage for a transformative journey.
Our collective success will be measured not in the policies, but in the factories that we reopen.
Some 500 billion was provided for BOI, and then another 500 billion for Bank of Agriculture and all of that. I mean, these are the continuing efforts, to address and to, focus specifically on industry.
The work group mandate is clear. It is to breathe life into the industrial sector, create jobs and stimulate growth, in addition to making Nigeria a manufacturing hub.
It's not only creating an environment that is conducive, but in waking up those more than 700 industries that have been shut for one reason or the other across industrial sectors.
As the journey begins, one thing is certain: the future of Nigeria's industrial sector is bright. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
And this is where we end the news. Many thanks for sharing part of your day with us. Good night.